G'day guys, welcome back to Statchat Sports. Today's video is the last episode of the pre-season preview videos for the before the 2022-23 season. The day that this video goes live, the season starts the next day. So we're a little over 24 hours away from the season beginning. So we've got 4 teams left, and then that's the 4 Champions League spots. Obviously starting at number 4. We think Tottenham will make the Champions League this season, finishing in that 4th spot.
Yeah, Tottenham are really putting together a good squad there. I mean, it's the first full season under Antonio Conte as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he can do with the team. With a full team, with a full pre-season, I think what he can do is going to be really great, and it will get them into the top 4. Basuma for me is a huge addition and chump change for me in this today's market. I mean, in our 5 to 6 preview, we talked about West Ham paying 35 mil for a relatively unknown centre back. I mean, Spurs have pulled off an absolute heist here, taking a central midfielder from who's already proven in the Premier League in Basuma, and I think he can really do some great things with this team. It's probably the one position where they may have been lacking a little bit. We all know the Spurs front 3 is just it's probably there's a lot of good attackers in the league, but across the board, the end product was just awesome. It was great. Heung-min Son is just taking it to another level. Harry Kane is Harry Kane. We know how good he can be. And even Kulusevski, after he was brought in, was a hit. I mean, we called him out in our predictions last season and thought he'd be terrible. And he actually turned out to be the complete opposite. But we will eat our words and say he's been great. And adding Richarlison to that mix, I mean, how much he's going to play, I'm not sure, but you don't spend upwards of $50 million to put someone on the bench and just make him a squad player. Well, Tottenham don't. Some teams do, Manchester City, but Tottenham don't do that. So I think there's got to be some sort of rotation here. I can't wait to see what he does at Tottenham.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with Richarlison. I'm not sure which way they're going to go there because, I mean, you don't drop Kane. Son's undroppable.
Yep.
And so it has to be Kulusevski, but I don't know if we see too much of Richarlison working off of, one of the flanks. But I mean, for me, it's almost like they're kind of preparing for life without Harry Kane in a way.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, he's not expected to go anywhere this window. But maybe, given the age getting on a little bit, maybe the thought of him potentially wanting to move on is still in the back of their mind if they still can't manage to reel in a trophy within, the next season or 2. Richarlison's 25. He's still got plenty of time left. So maybe he's the man to replace Harry Kane when the time comes for Kane to go. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because based off of Kulusevski last season, difficult to drop him. But I'm excited to see what Conte does this season with the squad because, I mean, he's probably a top 5 manager in the world, I'd say. Given what he did with Chelsea when he came in, what he did with Inter when he went over there, and in the little time that he has had with the Tottenham team last season, he did a good job. He did a really good job. He did the double. Well, actually, no, he didn't do the double, but he won the second fixture over City. He took points off of Liverpool last season as well. So adding more depth and quality into that squad is only obviously going to strengthen them. He brings in Ivan Perisic, one of his ex-players, on a free. Adds Longley on a loan transfer to just strengthen up that back line as well, add a little bit more depth in there. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what Spurs do this season.
Yeah, I mean, Conte has kind of proven himself as a real big game manager. He really gets up for the big ones, and I think this Spurs squad probably set for a few more of those big ones. They've really elevated themselves from the big six. To me, I think they're in that top four with this squad. Anything other than Champions League, holding on to Harry Kane was the catalyst, I think, and adding pieces around that. I think everyone expected Kane to probably go, and they'd reinforce with the cash brought in. The fact that they've been able to reinforce, and I mean they've lost Bergwijn, and that's it. His stay was pretty short lived, but yeah, it's for Bergwijn to be all that they've lost is a huge win for them, and I can't see them going backwards. It's onwards and upwards for Spurs.
I mean, Conte typically delivers a trophy within 2 years at a club, based if history tells us anything. I don't think they're going quite that far in terms of the league. I mean, might deliver an FA Cup or something like that. Are they? They're in the Europa League next season as well. Are they? I can't remember off the top of my head here, but
I think they're in the Champions League, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're top four.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Because it wasn't Arsenal and it wasn't United.
No, you're right. You're right. So yeah, I mean he's gotten them top four. Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. Again, it's maybe a little bit big to say that he could maybe win him that trophy. It's not out of the question, but maybe not seeing it happen. But you know, if you're a Tottenham fan, you're excited because, you know, given the history of Conte and bringing in trophies, it typically doesn't take him long. And given your trophy drought, I think Spurs fans would take maybe even a League Cup at this point. You know, but if he's not quite going to bring them, you know, the Premier League or the Champions League, the two big ones, at this stage, then constant Champions League finishes, and good progress in those competitions as well. I think will be enough to keep Tottenham fans sort of excited for Conte.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any Spurs fans going to be angry at winning the FA Cup. I mean, a trophy lift. Maybe the Carabao Cup doesn't have the glamour, but the FA Cup does a little bit more. And I think at this point, Spurs fans just want a trophy lift. I think they just want to see just not a parade, but you know, just the lift, the celebrations, get the weight off the shoulders a little bit. But the thing for me with Spurs and the fact that what I think with the squad depth, I think they are able to challenge, not on all fronts, because being realistic, I don't think they're a genuine shot for the league. It's anyone's game with a decent squad in the Champions League, considering you come play well over 2 legs and you're pretty good. It's not over 38 games. But with the squad depth, I think these 2 cups become quite realistic propositions for them, especially the FA, the Carabao. I think they can challenge for a trophy this season.
We'll move on to third spot now. It's our boys and it's Liverpool. This isn't really based on. I mean, this is a ladder made by an aggregate ladder from the 4 of us here at Statchat who put together a ladder. But actually, 3 out of the 4 of us all put Liverpool in at third, not top. Josh was the only one that had them finishing first, but not second either. We see them a little bit of a decline this year, and they're going to finish third.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm just not sure if enough has been done. The loss of Mane, I just that really is going to hurt the squad. I think Chelsea have been doing all sorts, so we'll get to that. But yeah, I don't even know where to start. Nunes, obviously, huge addition. As social media and everyone likes to overreact. Apparently, he's going to be the worst striker ever because he didn't score in his first couple of games, but then he goes and bangs in 4 in one game, and then he's away and he's going to be the best ever. So we don't know what we're going to get with Nunes yet. He's young. He's got time. Klopp's there for a few more years. It doesn't matter. And Klopp is quite, I wouldn't say famous, but known for giving signings a bit of time to settle. But I'm just not sure. I'm not sure Nunes replaces what Mane brought to that team straight away. So that's where I think maybe Chelsea can bridge that gap to the top two. I think they're going to be better for the signings they've made, better for the time together with that team. It's more for me. It's just have Liverpool done enough to really to stay on that 90-point trajectory that they always seem to be at every season.
I agree 100%. Given the last few years that it's been a Liverpool and a City race, it's almost as if one has to keep pace with the other. And given that City are that top team at the moment in English football, they're the team that others need to keep pace with. And given their sort of transfer signings this season, which we'll get to later, but it's all, Liverpool haven't quite kept up that sort of race or chase, I'll say, for me. Nunes has time, plenty of time, but he definitely doesn't fill the boots of Sadio Mane immediately. I think someone maybe like Luis Diaz could. We've seen obviously what he can do. He's electric, and he will now, without a doubt, be that starting player on the left for them. But yeah, as soon as Nunes was signed, it was all about City versus Liverpool, Nunes versus Haaland. Who's going to come out on top of the two, sort of thing. So, look, it remains to be seen. I think it's really going to be a matter of a few points this season between the top three. It's going to be, more so of a 3-horse race than a 2 this season. And obviously Chelsea will be involved in that. But I mean, look, it's obviously, it's incredibly difficult to call, but that's what these are for. These are predictions at the end of the day. The likes of Fabio Carvalho has impressed me in pre-season as well. He looks really good.
He looks good.
He looks really good. Haven't seen a whole lot of like Calvin Ramsey, the other inbound for Liverpool, but it's still, I'm still excited to see obviously what's going to happen. Of course, I'm not conceding the season already. I mean, be it a pre-season competition or not, Liverpool beat City in the Community Shield. Just a classic tight affair between the two. And I've seen a few comments be made on that game, and people saying, this is exactly why City and Liverpool are just far clear of the competition ahead of everybody else in England. Given that there's not really, especially in recent times, there's not been a poor fixture between the two. It's always a exciting, exhilarating game. So, yes, we've got them, in our books, maybe finishing third this year, but for me, it's honestly touch and go between all three.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we had Liverpool and Chelsea. I believe on aggregate score, I think they were the same in our ladder. So you really will. It's splitting hairs trying to split them. So I don't think it's Liverpool. I think the gap is bridged. I think City and Liverpool come somewhat not back to the pack, but Chelsea is somewhere in the middle there. That gap is closed. It's not City and Liverpool for me streaming away. It's the gap coming back, it being a little bit more competitive at the top. I don't think Liverpool are going to turn it to shit. It's just, it's the pack coming closer.
So let's touch on second spot. I think, by the way, we've spoken about them. I think it's fairly obvious at this point that we have Chelsea believed to have finished in second spot, and the runners-up. For me, it's about the transfers. It all comes down to the additions to that team. Question marks were sort of thrown up in the air due to the sale of the club, and whether the new owners would really back the club the way Roman Abramovich did. And at the moment, it seems like he absolutely will. He's throwing around cash left, right, and center. He's signing Raheem Sterling for close to 60 million. Koulibaly from Napoli for nearly 40. They've certainly strengthened their squad. Look, they've lost a fair bit as well. Lukaku. I mean, I don't know if Chelsea fans will call that a loss. But I mean, the loss of Antonio Rudiger will probably hurt them, I think. But that's obviously where Koulibaly comes in, fills those boots immediately for me. Christensen as well. He did some okay things there, but it's a frightening team when you add in Raheem Sterling and Koulibaly into an already solid team as it is. Koulibaly's been one of the best defensive players in the Serie A for ever since he's been in the league. So, I mean, he's 31. He's not young by any means. He's in his prime, you could say. He'll get, Chelsea will get 3 or 4 years out of him at the top level. And yeah, it's exciting to see. A little bit worrisome, I suppose, from a Liverpool's perspective, but from a neutral, from just a fan, a Premier League fan, it's an exciting, perspective to see that maybe we'll see somebody else challenge for the title besides just City and Liverpool.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think we all like to see a competitive Premier League, and I think that's what we're going to get this year. You can't tell me that Abramovich money's not still coming into the club. they're still spending as if he never left. I'm not actually saying he's like any way tied to the club, but everyone thought it was going to change, and Chelsea just keep being on Chelsea. They're still spending. But when you produce players, or your youth setup is producing players that they are producing, you're allowed to. I mean, we're talking a team that's got Brozier and Gallagher back, two very, very serviceable players in the league last season, and they're just, we'll put you over there, and teams are screaming out for these kind of guys. Crystal Palace would have loved him back. Southampton would have loved Brozier back, and they just put you over there. No worries. Just how they do it year in year out is crazy. But yeah, Chelsea have me a little worried. The addition of Sterling is just we've seen what he can do at City. He didn't really do it last year, but I mean, Sterling, when he's on fire, he is a force to be reckoned with.
And he's only 27. I mean, he's still got 5 or 6 years easy at a top level.
It feels like he's been around forever.
Yeah.
I mean, as Liverpool supporters, we obviously saw the earliest parts of him. But it honestly feels like he's been around for a decade, and he probably has. I can't remember when he really come to light, for want of a better phrase. But yeah, he's still kicking around and absolutely dominating on his day. And Koulibaly at 31. I mean, if they get half of what they got out of Thiago Silva, I mean, I think is he 30? Oh, I'm going to take a hazardous guess. Is it 36?
He'd be
maybe
37.
Yeah. I think he's over his mid 30s. I mean, if they can get half of what they got out of Silva, then 40 mil is a pretty good deal for Chelsea. 31, he's in his prime really as a centre back. So, it's they're going to be good, I think.
If you're a Chelsea fan, let us know if you're as optimistic as we are. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say we're optimistic. I see there's a pretty good chance that Chelsea could make a proper run for it. We saw them do it last year, but they tapered off. But I think a little bit of consistency and depth into the side, which they've added, can certainly push them up there to challenge. That brings us to the last spot. I mean, it goes without saying, Man City for top spot again. Once again, it just seems like Josh is the only one left out, but all but Josh picked City to take home the title this year. Again, look, I reckon you could have asked 1 million people, and 5,000 of those 1 million people would not have picked City to win the league.
Yeah,
They've only gone and strengthened. I mean, it goes without saying, adding Erling Haaland, one of the best, if not the best in some people's eyes, young striker in the world, to your ranks for 60 million, which is a ridiculous price tag. Dortmund well and truly messed up there by slapping that low of a price tag or a release clause on him. And then they add Calvin Phillips as well. You know, obviously we know Calvin Phillips. I'm not going to say he's the best English midfielder in the game, because he's not, but he will be in a few years. I've got no doubt that he could potentially be up there, given time under Pep. So, you know, and that it really comes at a loss of Sterling, which is a big loss, and a loss that I have heard a lot of people talk about and question as to really why City let him go, especially to a Premier League rival. It does raise a little bit of a question mark. And obviously Gabriel Jesus, who we talked about in our Arsenal video as well. I don't think they'll miss them too much, to be perfectly honest. I really don't.
No, I mean, the addition of Erling Haaland, I mean, 60 mil. I mean, no wonder the Nunez Haaland debate is so hotly contested. I mean, they've paid 60 mil for probably the best. Like, in my eyes, he is the best young striker in the world. I mean, the numbers he was putting up in the Champions League are just unreal for his age. Probably only rivaled by Mbappe.
Yeah.
But Nunez, I don't want to talk too much about Liverpool here, but the price that they paid for a guy who banged in 30-something goals in a season in the Portuguese league compared to Haaland's price, City have got an absolute steal here. It remains to be seen for me how he adjusts to the league. I'm not sure, or probably not to the league, to City. I'm not sure City's the same team for me that Dortmund were. City under Pep really like to play that tiki-taka kind of, they pass the ball into the net. I'm not sure Haaland is really going to be, I'm not sure that's to his strengths. I'm not sure he won't hit the ground running. I don't think. We're not going to see him kick 25 goals this season. I think he might be a 15-goal striker. I'm just not sure that we see him click straight away. I'm not saying he's going to be terrible at all. I just think it might take a little bit of time for him to adjust.
No, I can hear what you're saying, but I am going to respectfully disagree to a degree.
Yeah,
you know, look, it certainly might take him some time to adapt to the English game. You know, he's not going to be playing against what some people might call farmers in the in the Bundesliga this season. You know, he's going to be coming against a lot higher of quality of opponent. But I think he'll slot right into the way that City played, no problems at all. You know, he is, you could call him a poacher in a sense. I mean, he could do it all. He can poach inside the box. He's quick. He's strong. You know, all you got to do is just one slight little through ball onto his left foot, and he's probably going to score it. You know, all you got to do is look at the goals that he scored at Dortmund and see that he could just about score from anywhere. So for me, he has no problems fitting in to the way that City play, and given the fact that City now have an out and out number 9 and a centralized striker, which they didn't really have last season, that's where the goals will come from this season for them. That they're the player, he's the player that they're going to feed. I think, you know, him and De Bruyne is really where the link up is going to aim to be.
That partnership is just going to be filthy. I mean, I know I haven't trashed Haaland. I don't think he's going to be terrible.
No,
I just don't think I don't think we should be looking at him and thinking he's going to set the Premier League alight, because I don't think that's what's going to happen. Maybe 15 goals was a little bit unders. I think he might go over that, but yeah, it's he's not going to change the world.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, no, it's a fair point. I think there's a lot of people out there that'll disagree with you, but
maybe it might just be more out of hope. Maybe I'm secretly hoping Nunes just one ups him a little bit. But look, it's highly unlikely. Even with my Liverpool hat on, it's highly unlikely.
But I mean, look, just on City as a whole to wrap us up, is it going to be close in your eyes, or will they? Do you think they'll eventually run out with it? Maybe not to the point of like double-digit points, but maybe by like a game or two in hand, it could see them over the line in the end.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll be looking at. Yeah, I think we'll be looking at 6, 7 points, something kind of like that. The race will be contested probably up until maybe, I don't know, March, April, and then we start seeing just the strength and depth. It's just absolutely unrivaled, probably all over world football. The depth that they have in that team. I mean, Calvin Phillips isn't slotting into that team straight away.
Yeah, no.
So I mean, they've just added an English midfielder, a first team midfielder, and just plonked him on the bench. I mean, that's what we're talking about with City. It's to be frank, it's quite unfair. But look, they get it done, and yeah, well done if you support them, I suppose.
And I know this is a Premier League, a Premier League preview, and we haven't spoken about it with anybody else yet. But given the Champions League is the only trophy that Pep is yet to win with City, given the additions to the team, is this their best season ahead of any other to win that competition?
Yeah. You best know that they're absolutely gunning for it. Like, at this point, for their own sakes, I think that's their priority.
Yeah,
100% it has to be. They've won league after league after league. That's getting almost boring for them. They're at that level. The Champions League has to be the priority, and all their eggs go in that basket. I mean, you can say what you want. I mean, the depth is there, like we just spoke about, to challenge on all fronts and to challenge well on all fronts. But it must burn that they haven't won it yet. And this, with the addition of Haaland, who we've seen is proven, even as a young striker in that competition. I think that's where we'll see him. That's where we'll see him shine, because we've seen him do it before. It's just the league, for me, is a different story.
All right, well, that's going to wrap us up. Pre-season video is done and dusted. At the time of recording this video, we're a little over 24 hours before the season starts. So looking forward to that. Of course, as always, if you're fans of any of the teams that we've spoken about today here in the top 4, if you agree, disagree with anything we've mentioned, anything in addition that you want to add to any of the comments made, let us know. We like the interaction in the comments. We'll always try and have a discussion. So if you are new, if you're finding us for the first time because of these videos, hit the subscribe button if you do enjoy. We'll given that the season starts obviously this weekend, we'll be back doing our regular sort of Premier League podcast, and with a slightly different format to last season. So stay tuned for those. But as always, we appreciate you joining us. We hope you're excited for the season as much as we are, and we'll see you all in the next video. Catch us.